What they won't tell you, we will. Come and Take It News.
Welcome to the Come and Take It News podcast. I'm your host, Clint Milby. If you know anything about the patriot movement of Southern California, then you know my next guest, Shiva Bagheri. A native Southern Californian, Bagheri is a single mom, dance and fitness instructor, dog walker, and the founder of the Beverly Hills Freedom Rally, which boasted record crowds prior to the 2020 election. Due to popular demand, Bagheri is starting up the Freedom Rallies again, coming up this Saturday, April 29th in Beverly Hills. We caught up with Bagheri about the new rally and why she feels the time is right to start them up again.
We need to get together because this is how we make a difference, is we have to come together and talk about the issues at hand because we've got a lot going on right now. I mean, with the Restrict Act and with, the fact that they want to take parents' rights away. They want to kill babies right in my hood, by the way, in Beverly Hills, up to 1 day shy of 32 weeks, called the DuPont Clinic. They want to bring this here, this abomination here. So, and we want to register voters. So we want to get some new blood, and we need to get people to vote, number one, because I found out that only 25% of Republicans, registered Republicans, actually voted in the last election. I mean, that is disgusting. So people need to get off their ass, stop complaining on Facebook, and actually make a difference by going and voting, calling their representatives when they do something awful, because we have to put them in check. And when there's enough calls, they go, okay, well, we're going to piss them off so much, we're going to lose our seat. You know what I mean? This is how we do it. And we've done a lot of pushback here in Beverly Hills with the masking, with, the jabs. So we made a difference because we stopped the masking from happening here, them forcing it, especially on our children at school. We were like one of the first schools in the district, it was Beverly Hills Unified School District, to stop that. And, pushing these shots on people. So, this is because we, voiced our grievances, and this is what we need to do.
So the thing of it is, now I missed the original rallies that you had in Beverly Hills. Talk a little bit about when did those start? Those started prior to the last election. Is that right?
It was around June 2020, we started them. We actually started at Burger Lounge, and we marched around a couple of the streets there. And I think it was the third time someone had suggested, we should just do it at the Beverly Hills sign, because that's a famous place. It's the Beverly Hills sign. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I wish I could remember who it was so I can give them credit, but I don't remember. I mean, a lot of things were like a fog to me because, it was stressful time for a lot of people because we're literally seeing tyranny happen and our God-given rights ripped from us. And remember, we don't need permission for God-given rights. That's in our Constitution, right? In our Bill of Rights.
Right. Those aren't privileges. Those are rights.
Yeah, correct.
They're not for man to give or take away. They're there for us. But talk a little about so you guys started small and just started having rallies on a weekly basis, because the reason why I bring that up is because the videos I've seen, they blossomed into it looked like thousands of people were attending.
Absolutely. So I'll give credit also, because when we started building, I think before Walkaway, we almost had 100 people. And somebody from our group, it could have been Joe Rycop, because she's got connections. They reached out to Walkaway, Brandon Strucka, and said, there's a lot of us out here that are conservatives, and it would be great for you to come out here and do your Walkaway. So Walkaway started in West Hollywood, and they marched from West Hollywood to the Beverly Hills sign right before our protest. So we told our people to show up to his and ours, so that we can co-collaborate. And then we asked those people, we were telling them, listen, we do this weekly now. You should join us. And this was something that people would look forward to because, everything else was so depressing. And we were literally having a party every Saturday. And we were just celebrating life. We're not going to live in fear. We're all fine. And by the way, not a single person I know died of COVID that came to our rallies. And then they got real pissed off, the deep state. They started threatening me, calling me, threatening me, like trying to scare me, like, you're going to kill people. You know what I mean? Like all of that same crazy rhetoric. And then these sickos were even threatening to rape my child. Okay. This is the kind of sickness that comes from this left side, very demonic.
And I know, and that's the thing about it is that you've been the target of these people's ire. When we talk about these people, we're talking about people unknown, but we're also talking about people that we do know, members of Antifa that, seem to follow you around wherever Shiva is. There's going to be, 2 or 3 of these people at least, if not more, of these folks. And you've been dealing with this now since this whole business started. And that's the thing about it. When I first started going, the first couple of rallies, I don't know if I saw you because there were other ones that weren't related to Beverly Hills, but I forget the first one where I met you. And it was clear to me, that if there was a matriarch to the patriot movement in Southern California, it was Shiva Bagheri.
Aww.
You are always there, always present. You're always supporting, no matter how big, no matter how small, and not one of these ones looking to ingratiate yourself or to make yourself, rise up as some major figure. You're just there, present. You suit up and show up every time. And,
it's God. It's the guy upstairs. He's the one that gave me the idea. Because I said, I want to be a bondservant to God. So I said, God, what can I do to make a difference? And boom, that light bulb went right on. You need to represent your city and start a rally here. And I was like, okay. And the crazy thing is, do you know who Perez Hilton is?
Sure, yeah.
Well, he doxed me. He doxed all my information of my, dance school, my website, on the internet.
Now, for those that don't know, Perez Hilton is I was just going to say, for those that don't know, Perez Hilton is this guy who's been around for decades now, that he's a celebrity gossip person that goes around and he covers like celebrities and stuff like this. And so for him to see you and say, hey, this person, I need to dox them, he must have seen you as a threat.
Well, this is the thing. They used me on a bullhorn saying, because they're like, what about, what was it, Breonna Taylor? And I said, I don't give a rat's ass about Breonna Taylor. She was a thug and so was her boyfriend. People I care about is all these innocent children being slaughtered by gangs. I care about them. I care about the babies in the womb that are being slaughtered. It's interesting. I just went to a city council meeting here in Beverly Hills, and they said that day, this Tuesday, was Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I said, it's sad. 6 million Jews died, but we've had a Holocaust here. Since 1973, we've had 60 million babies murdered. Where's the outrage? Because people have been programmed to believe that they're not human. Okay. They're just a cluster of cells. Well, that's what they did about the Jews. They called them rats and, they dehumanized them. Mm-hmm. And now we've got this DuPont clinic where they're going to put this clinic right here on Wilshire and Lapeer, which will kill babies up to 1 day shy of 32 weeks, which is an 11-inch baby. That is sadistic. And this is what I say. They always do everything incremental. Mm-hmm. First, it's a cluster of cells. Then it's women's choice. By the way, where's the choice of the baby? And that baby would end up being a woman if they would let it survive, or a man. You know what I mean? It would end up being a woman or man. So where's the baby's choice? We're supposed to protect those that can't protect themselves. That's what a decent society does. But a demoralized society doesn't care about the innocent. It's become narcissistic. It's about me, myself, and I, which is the unholy trinity, including, money, power, and control. When people worship those things. See, I don't worship money. I like having it in my life, but it's not what I worship. I know that God will always provide. So I've never put money up here. I know that I will make what I need to make, and I'm always going to be fine.
But, and one of the things, in regards to the abortion issue and is that it seems to, you talk about that this was all done incrementally. One of the things is that through messages, through advertising, through politics, there's message started coming out to women, I think in the 50s, that being a mother is somehow less than, that there is so many other things that you could be doing that would be much more fulfilling to you, and being a mother and a wife is somehow not desirable, that you should be able to be other things other than just that. And when that seemed to get implanted in society's mind, then came the whole idea that having a child is a burden. So not only is it not desirable, now it's like something that you don't want at all. And that seems to have, like, to the point now where, you know, it was like, first it was like, oh, it's not birth control, it's only for emergencies, it's only for rape
and incest. Yeah.
And now we're seeing women walk around saying, you know, the hell with them children or something like that. They brag about how many abortions there are. There's rap music now. There's artists where they're bragging about like how many babies that they've killed and what they're going to do and stuff like this. And what's interesting to me is that the law still protects unborn children in regards to, so if I murdered a woman and she was pregnant, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get charged with the additional crime of actually killing the child.
Double homicide, correct. Yep.
And so it's kind of a oxymoron then to say that this is not a living being when the law already acknowledges that it is a living being.
And if we're following science, when does life start? At conception. So again, they love to say they follow the science when it fits their narrative, but they don't follow the science when it comes to what women are and what men are. And they want to call us women now in some of these bills, birthing people. Okay. I don't want to be called a birthing person, just saying. Okay. I'm a mother and I have a child, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, what's so wonderful about having a child is you finally love someone more than you love yourself. And you actually learn more of compassion. You learn to be a better human being. Like, I have to say, since I've had a child, I've become a better human being.
You know, and I've heard other people say that, and I know that, you know, one of the things is that whenever I've tried to speak on the issue, it's always, and I used to be a hardcore liberal, and my attitude was never pro-abortion. It was just like, I bought into the idea, whereas you're a man, so you can't say what a woman can do with her body. But here's the catch on that, is that I'm adopted. I was adopted at birth, and my mother, from what I know, she was unwed mother in high school, senior in high school. And this was in, you know, the 70s, you know, around the time that Roe v. Wade passed. And I'm told by her family, because I've met them, that abortion was never on her mind, but in that society at that time, it sure could have been. But she decided that that's not what she was going to do, and that she was going to carry me, which is a huge deal for an 18-year-old, and then give me to somebody that could properly take care of me, or offer the life that at the time that she could not. And I talked to her daughter, my half sister, and her sisters as well, and they never said anything about her ever regretting her decision to carry me. And I just, but I've heard so many people say that they had abortions and they regret it.
Well, this is the thing. Everything that comes out of the left is, they say love, but it's actually hate. Okay. You're hating on babies that are innocent, but they never hate the guy. They always talk about rape and incest, right? And I said, why don't you go after the actual criminal, which is the rapist? And if a father's molesting a kid, you know, their own kid, why don't you go after them? The baby's innocent. So basically you're saying nothing about those two, you know, like the rapist or the incest, but you talk about the baby like it's evil. And that never made sense to me. And then you're going to do something even far worse by snuffing the life out of the baby. So now you become a murderer. You're worse to me than a rapist and a incest, because you took life away, and only God should be able to take life away. And
that doesn't erase the crime that happened.
Exactly.
It doesn't bring any type of justice to the mother in that scenario. But again, I think what we're talking about here is that there is this devaluing of women in regards to what is the one thing that a woman can do that a man can't do, and that's give life, and that is to nurture life at the same time. And that is amazing. And they, the left has gone so far as to try to devalue that, like you say, with this whole birthing person thing to make a mockery of it. And it's just,
well, look at Dylan Mulvaney. I mean, look at how he I mean, the way that he depicts a woman is very insulting. Like, that's like, yo, dude, this is what a dude is. You know, that, like, what if I started depicting a man like that? Like, yeah, give me a beer, woman. Like, you know what I mean?
no, or another race, you know, we would get condemned for racism, but, you know, for this, and that's what drag is. It's a caricature of a woman, you know, it's not, that's what it's always meant to be. And it's always supposed to be comedic. And I don't buy the Dylan Mulvaney is truly trans. I believe he's being paid to do what he's doing.
Of course, he even took and froze his sperm, because he knows that these hormone blockers are going to lower his sperm count, and he wants to procreate. So, you know, if you actually identify with a woman, how could you preserve your sperm? How do you have sperm? You know what I mean? It's like, right. It's insane what's happening. And then he gets his 6 o'clock shadow, and he's like putting makeup over it and trying to cover it up. I'm like, you know, this is so sickening, this social engineering and trying to turn our children into eunuch slaves. I mean, nothing is different under the sun. Basically, abortion is child sacrifice. You know, doing what they're doing to children is eunuchs. We had eunuch slaves that worked for royalty. They didn't want them to have sex with the women, you know, so what did they do? They chopped off their penis. Well, now they want to make eunuch communist slaves. And when you take someone away from their true identity, you break them, they're easy to control. So they have Stockholm syndrome. So all of this makes sense, because if they actually looked at the science of this and where this started, this whole trans thing came from John Money, who was a pervert pedophile. And he lied about a study with these 2 Canadians. One had a botched circumcision, and they raised this poor boy as a girl, and this poor boy was teased and called like a caveman and all this stuff because he didn't want to play with dolls. The first time his mom put a dress on him, he ripped it off. That should have told the mom something and should have stopped her right there. But she forced this insanity on her kid, and then they, you know, John Money did this weird stuff with the 2 boys, having them do sexual positions with each other. I mean, this guy was a sicko. He was a sicko and a quack. And because of the lie saying that it was successful, they did thousands of reassignment surgeries. And Johns Hopkins was the first to do it in America. Mm-hmm. And the doctor that was overseeing this saw that the people that were getting the reassignment surgery, they had higher suicide rate. Okay? It was higher. So he said, you know what? He's like, these people are just mentally ill. That's what it is, mental illness. And now they're pushing mental illness on our children. They're pushing this ideology that you can change your gender when you cannot. So they're, you know, doing exactly what the Nazis did, using children as experiments, just like Madonna. You know, in the country, they're suing her for human trafficking and using children as experiments.
No, and the thing about Madonna that no one seems to be talking about is that that whole deal that she was dealing with Malawi, where she was getting these kids from, and that was all put together by the Kabbalah Center.
Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it, I used to work for this lady that is so tied to the Kabbalah Center on Robertson. Mm-hmm. It was like right across the street, and she kept giving me this book, and I would just rip it up. Like, I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with Kabbalah, right? I rent space from her. And then this is how sick the left is, okay? Rosie O'Donnell called the studio because she found out where I'm renting space, this little hole in the wall place, and said that she was going to rent space from them and give them all this money. Well, then she said she's pulling out because she found out that I was renting space there. And they let me go from using the space. And I said, that's fine. I understand. I don't want you to, your money, but I know she's not going to rent space. I know this is complete baloney. But see how sick these bad actors are? They're bad actors, and the world is their stage.
No, and I mean, you know, they many of these folks have found some way to or make themselves feel important, to try to draw an audience in the waning years of their career, or the fact that they've never had one. But the thing that troubles me the most is that now you and I and people that think the way that we do, we are considered criminals.
A lot of times they go after the foster kids. You know, they indoctrinate the foster kids. They get them on the hormone blockers. And that's why my heart goes out to some of these young Antifa and BLM members, because they've been indoctrinated. I don't find them as my enemy. I find whoever is pulling the strings at the top my enemy. So my heart goes out to a lot of these young people. Like this beautiful boy, he was like 19. He looked like he was 19. He looked like a little David Bowie. He was so cute. And then he's like doing his flippy like he's, you know, a girl. And I kind of was sad when, you know, they had the Proud Boys were making fun of him. I'm like, don't kick a dog when he's down. Like it's not necessary to do that to someone that's 19. Talk to him and say, you know what? You're made perfect by God. You were perfectly made, instead of like being so insulting. I just don't think that hate plus hate begets hate. I don't think we need to come from a hateful place. No, I think we need to come at an understanding place. Like I've talked to some of these transgender people and I don't hate them at all. You know, I want them to know that they are loved no matter what. If they want to dress that way, fine. Just don't push it on our children. You know what I mean? But
it's beyond that now. They're legislating it. I think that I forget what the bill is here in California, where if the child identifies as trans, then the state can take them away from the parents if the parents aren't fulfilling this medical procedures on the kid. And see,
that's not them. That's the legislators. That's not these people. These people are basically victims to this societal thing. So to me, I see them more as they've been victimized by society and their indoctrination centers. So I don't see them as the enemy. I'm sad for them, because I want them to understand that they should love themselves and they are not a mistake. You know, we need to teach children you're not a mistake. Okay. God made you just the way you're supposed to be made, and you're not a mistake.
And you know, Shiva, you live by that. I know for a fact, because there was I think it was a Jan 6 rally a couple of years ago or something like that. And me and another guy were yelling at a Antifa person, a woman, and you came in and you were just like, hey, like, that's enough, you know, leave her alone. And that spoke volumes about where you are with this, because that particular Antifa person was somebody that spent her days and her hours going after you on the internet, you know? And you are all about, like, you know, making sure that it's not our enemy, and our war is not with these people. It's with this ideology.
It is. Yeah. I love all people. I even want Joe Biden to go to heaven. I want him to turn away from his wicked ways, if that really is him. I don't even know if that's him. I mean, kind of doesn't look like him. And there was this one video, I don't know if you saw it, but he's like picking at his neck. That didn't look like skin. It looked like plastic. Like it didn't look real. That was bizarre. So, and I'm sure there's doubles too. You know what I mean? I'm sure they have doubles of all presidents just to keep them safe. But that was really bizarre. And he really does look different. His ear looks different. You know, like one has a lobe and then one's attached. So,
yeah, in the older pictures of him, he has open lobe ears. And I don't know if they did plastic surgery before his run to try to make him, and they attached the skin on one side, but it just seems odd that the surgeon would do that and leave the other one like just loose.
Yeah, everything seems so odd, you know, like we kind of live in the Truman Show, and I now question everything. Like, you know, like except for God, you know, I don't question anything. I don't question God's word, but you know, like everything else I question. You know?
And I think you're foolish if you take things at face value anymore. I mean, especially when what we've seen them do with the vax, when now they've taken two or three of the drugs off of the emergency use schedule. I guess they did that. CDC did that like 2 days ago, and it's like, oh wow, looks like we're vindicated. Or when it came out, in Congress that all of that leaked from that lab in Wuhan. I reposted something today that I posted 3 years ago and was taken down by Facebook.
Yep, March 2020. I was talking about it, a lab leak.
Right.
Like we had it right this whole time. And remember when I was on Inside Edition and I said the masking was grooming for the vaccine?
Right.
It's like we called it before. It aged well for me. Not so much for Lisa. What was it? Guerrera? Is that her name? Lisa Guerrera, the interviewer, that was trying to, oh, by the way, she was trying to shame me about wearing the mask. One of my friends knows her and her boyfriend, and was telling me that they were at a party a week prior not wearing masks. So she just plays like this whole thing in front of people. But when it comes to like behind the scenes, she's a total hypocrite.
No, I remember when Schwarzenegger said, screw your freedom. Someone had videotaped him walking into a bar. He was driving this big old Hummer, and he got out and went into this bar completely maskless, going out and doing whatever and everything like this. And that's the thing, is that especially here in LA, we've seen a lot of these people like walking around and living their lives. And that's the thing, is that this whole business has been a scam. Yeah. So how could you believe anything that comes out from the government anymore, or the media? I just, to me, anything that they say, my rule of thumb these days is kind of do the opposite.
Yeah, true. But sometimes they do that too, to like you know what I mean? Like they'll play chess. They'll like, okay, now we have to tell them this because they're gonna oppose it. You know what I mean? Because now they know our algorithms because they're following everything we do. Like I thought Q was a psyop, and why I thought Q was a psyop was, remember what happened with Wolverine Watchmen? First, Facebook flagged them, and then they took. They were basically white guys that loved their Second Amendment, and they lived in Michigan. So they flagged them, and the FBI infiltrated that group and made this plot to go and so-called kidnap Governor Whitmore.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they put that in the media. But when you look at the hearing, you find out the people that took over Wolverine Watchmen were either federal contractors or feds themselves. They were like paying for hotels with our tax money, by the way, to do this. Okay. And I remember that this one guy from the group was literally staying in the same room as one of the female, either she was a fed or, a federal contractor, smoking weed in the same bed. I don't know if she had sex with him, but that's called a honeypot. Right.
Okay? Right. And it's an old trick.
It's an old trick. And these things are not supposed to be happening to our own people. They're supposed to do this in other countries, like being honeypots and false flags. But that's another false flag event. And let me tell you another thing that's interesting. This is so I was watching Alex Jones for a while. And so when I became an assistant agent at one of the entertainment agencies and representing children for like commercials and for theatrical work, I would see some crazy stuff. And I remember this one that like was bizarre because number one, you don't normally get paid hourly to be, to get a job. And it was called role play. And they wanted you to be white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Well, guess what the location was and when this was?
When?
Charlottesville.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, oh, hell no. Like, what is this? And because I remembered it. I was like, what is this? I remember this. Like, I remember them looking for it because I was thinking, oh, $15 an hour to play this? Like, this is bizarre. Like, where is this? And I remember Charlottesville. Well, that's far. So they're going to bus people, like, you know what I mean, over there? If they're in LA or, you know what I mean?
Was this before the whole
yes.
Kids with the tiki torches? So this casting was for that event?
It was for that event.
My goodness.
Okay.
And there was probably nothing more damaging to the Trump administration than that event. I mean, right off the bat, it was just like that whole event, people utilized that to demonize him as a racist.
Of course. So again, false flag. Okay. So that was a false flag. And then, of course, Jussie Smollett was a false flag. Okay. And then this was another funny one. So I saw this post with a lady, or it's supposed to be a lady. I mean, you can't tell because she looked like Casper the Friendly Ghost with a burqa. And then in the description, it says intelligent, confident woman. And I'm thinking, you don't even have to be a woman to be under that burqa. Nobody can see you. So like, that was like, what the frickin' frick? You know, that was just bizarre. And I was like, too bad I didn't know how to screenshot back then, because it would have been great to screenshot these things. You know what I mean? Now I know how to screenshot. So now when I see crazy stuff, I'll just screenshot it and save it, you know? But I just like, I could not get myself to submit these children for some of the things that I saw. I was like, no way do I want to submit them for this. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't be an entertainment agent for Hollywood. Like, until we can get some things that we can put children in that is safe for children, I don't want to be a part of Hollywood at all. And I actually gave up my SAG because I was a Screen Actors Guild union member. And when they sent me like, you know, a thing about, you know, supporting BLM, I was like, oh, hell no. And this is the kicker. The day, remember, the transcript was released from the bunker of the Capitol with exculpatory evidence on our president. You know, like Shifty Schiff was on a town hall being treated like he was some kind of hero. Well, this guy was lying to us on SAG, like SAG town hall. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to be part of this satanic union. I got to get out of here. Especially when prior to that, I went to, I think it was Pasadena. He had a town hall. And I'm the one that started this shift storm. I'll call it shift storm because I went by myself and I didn't know that there was other patriots in the audience. But he started speaking and like something inside me couldn't take it anymore. His lies. I was like, liar, like that. And then I hear liar, 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 liar. People stood up and this guy's like, you should be in jail for treason. You know what I mean? And it was awesome. It was awesome. But then of course I got kicked out. But it was awesome to see a lot of patriots show up. And then someone talked about the Standard Hotel and what happened at the Standard Hotel.
Yes.
Some kind of crazy pedophilia stuff, you know, was going on there.
Well, you know, that's the thing. One of the things that was my point of no return. I'd always been, I don't want to say conspiratorial minded, but I was, you know, my dad had worked in the government and kind of told me, don't believe everything that the government tells you because they had me doing this and that. And so I always had that on my mind. But I was doing a documentary on Ed Buck, who was that serial killer guy who was in West Hollywood. And I'm still working on it. It's been many years, but that was like, I started in 2018. And one of the things that, you know, came out, and I think it's common knowledge now, but at the time it wasn't common knowledge, that this guy had been in West Hollywood and doing all this stuff since the 90s. And he was essentially had everybody from the West Hollywood City Council all the way up to Hillary Clinton on the payroll. He was giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Democrat Party, and they were aware of his nefarious activities, and they didn't rock the boat because the money was coming in. But one of the things that came in on that whole deal is that Ed Buck and Adam Schiff are friends. Now, it was more than just a donor relationship. There are several pictures of them like hanging out and more like a social
you went to his parties all the time. I know because I used to live in West Hollywood.
Right.
So I would hear about these parties, you know, with him and Ed Buck. So, you know, these people, you know, they were doing some creepy, disgusting things. I mean, look at Schiff. Does he even look like he's straight? Does he really look like a straight man to you?
No, and not only that does he not look straight, he looks like he's about to get caught on any number of things. You know, I mean, he's got just this paranoia about him. And to me, that is like somebody that's got a lot of wrong in their life and they know that their number could be up at any minute for any, you know, number of things. So, but the whole business is that Ed Buck was allegedly setting him up because Ed Buck's thing was black men. He was setting him up with black boys, which was Adam Schiff's deal. and they had some sort of like thing going on there at the Standard Hotel, which was notorious for allowing celebrities and people of note to go there and do bad behavior and then cleaning it up. And I've heard that that has a lot to do with why they closed it when they did.
Yeah, probably did. You know, it's kind of like, you know, Sandy Hook. Why would you get rid of the evidence? If a crime happened there, why would you go and take down the school? And you know what I mean? It's kind of like the wet market. Remember the wet market?
Yes.
They go and clean it up. You're not supposed to clean up a place where you're supposed to investigate to see if there's a virus there.
No, you do that when you're trying to hide evidence. That's what you do.
Yeah, they did the same thing in 9/11. Remember, it was like the cleanup crew. It's like, I've watched a lot of mysteries, and they never clean up the evidence. They keep it there so they can compile the evidence. Not,
when I was in college, I went to a school called Baylor, and it's in Waco, and it was during the time that the whole like Waco Branch Davidians thing happened. And once everything was over with, you could go out to the land where everything was, and like the next day, like after it happened, and they came in with bulldozers and they just bulldozed like everything. And I'm thinking to myself, that's all like trajectory evidence of like, gunfire and stuff like this. And there's still like criminal trial that's going on. Why would they bulldoze like all of that evidence? It's like that. And they dug a pit, they pushed it all in, and then they covered it up. And we're talking like days afterwards, as soon as the flames like cooled off over there. And I know at that time in my mind, I'm just like, there's something not right about this.
Exactly. And don't forget, with Sandy Hook, there was reporters that went around to the neighborhoods close to the school. And many of the neighbors said, oh, that school has been closed for years. They were literally saying that school has been closed for years. I mean, something is really off. And then there was, I don't know if it was a real picture because you can't tell if it's a deep fake or not, but it made it look like it was a casting thing. Like, children were set up, and you never know, maybe they are going to go and sacrifice those children. I mean, do you think that they care about children? Look at, they're still pushing these jabs on kids. So these people are so sadistic. They want to cut off the healthy boobs and penises of little children. You think they really care about kids? They kill 60 million babies. These people do not care about kids. They want population control. They want to bring down the population to 500 million. That was what was on the Georgia Guidestones, the evil 10 commandments.
No, and I mean, even the UN said that the population needed to be reduced. I think the number was they wanted to get rid of 900 million people. And I think in the past, wars have worked really well, but it seems that they, realized that they didn't even have to go that far to, destroy all this infrastructure, that they could do it through just mind control, that they will actually get parents to bring their children to a hospital to have them permanently disfigured for the rest of their life. And I mean, that's the thing about it. People think you go into, they don't know anybody. You just go into the hospital, snip, snip, boom, you're, no problem. No, you're a lifelong patient for the rest of your life. You'll be in and out of the hospital, in and out of the doctor's office, hooked on prescription, hormone blockers, antibiotics for infections that set in, all sorts of problems with your lymphatic system and stuff like that. We're talking about lifelong customers to the pharmaceutical industry. And who would do that in their right mind, But they've convinced people that this is called gender affirming care and that it saves lives. And it's just, it's nefarious. It's like, I have to think like to myself sometimes, like, what world, where am I at? What planet?
Well, that's the thing too, is, like before I was very liberal myself, I never believed in abortion, but you get to that point where I didn't even know that our tax dollars were going to this. I didn't know that. So I was kind of like, because I wasn't into politics at all. Like, I just wasn't into it. So I didn't really know the ins and outs of politics. And I mean, I used to, when I lived in West Hollywood, I put a little rainbow tutu on my kid, and she's like, going through, and I'm like, oh, it's just peace and love. And she's, she's not really getting all this. Like, but now I see actually it does influence kids. Like, they're like sponges, you know what I mean? And, I had to repent for that. I have a lot to repent for. And that's why I think all of these people that have been confused by the social engineering, there's hope for them because there's still breath in their lungs. There's hope that they find God and the truth and their eyes are open, So, and even the celebrities, I feel like a lot of these celebrities, like, what was that one, Black China? She just like found God. She had a Baphomet tattoo on her butt and she got it removed. I had a tattoo here that was all new age. It was like, year of the ox and scorpion, and it looked like a devil worship because it had horns and sun and scorpion. I mean, look at it. It looks like it's total devil worshiping, tattoo. So I got a tattoo covered up. I covered up that last year with a Celtic cross and wings and the basically our flag, you know what I mean? With the wings, like the colors of our flag. So it's very beautiful. And the tattoo artist did a great job in covering this up. So now I'm proud of my tattoo and I'm like, look at it and go, ew, like awful, So
I think oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There's just awakening going on, and I think it's beautiful. And you look at these movies that are coming out, and it's great because a lot of Christians are going to them,
Well, I'll tell you, the movie Jesus
Revolution.
Yes. I mean, that was number one. Well, it was in the top 10 for like 3 to 4 weeks after it was released. It seemed like it hit number one, like the first week it was out. And here's a little independent movie that was considered to be faith-based. And it was going against like some major movies that were being released by Disney and Warner Brothers and Paramount. And here this little movie is, and it's just like, that had to be a wake-up call to the studios, that, hey, at the end of the day, the people don't want this, that you're putting out there. Exactly. They don't want it. And they're looking for something that's more real, and they're looking for something they're looking to connect back to God. And if you're not there, they're going to reject your product. And it makes me wonder, as we're approaching what some consider is going to be another writer's strike, if the studios won't utilize this time to kind of clean house of all this woke business that's we've been programmed with over the last, like, I would say 3-4 years now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was talking to one of my clients today, and his daughter works for FX, and he's worried she's going to lose her job because FX is run by Disney, and right. Disney is having to fire a lot of people.
Yeah, they fired 7,000 people a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So she's worried about losing her job. It's like, this is in some of the thing I think of is these communists, these globalists are getting these jobs to do marketing and stuff for these big companies. And I almost think that they're trying to sabotage them, to hurt us, because look at how many people are employed by these big corporations, a lot. And that's going to like really destroy the middle class, because a lot of us, I can't bring my kid to Disneyland anymore. You know what I mean? I can't watch things that are funded by Disney. I can't, and Bud Light, I don't drink anymore. Thank God. Like, I don't drink, so it doesn't really matter. But Bud Light, how much did they lose? What was it? 7 million?
I don't know, but I know that their stock fell and that they've gone full tilt reversal on the whole thing. So.
And by the way, I heard today, I don't know this for a fact, but a friend told me that Dan Bongino left Fox News, that he didn't, his contract, I guess, he didn't agree on the contract and he left.
Interesting. That did I understand correctly? Did Fox News get a judgment against them from the
Dominion Voting Systems? Correct.
$7 billion or something like that?
Something ridiculous. Let me find out. Hold on.
Okay.
How much was the settlement Fox News had to pay Dominion Voting Systems?
I found this on the web.
787, almost $1 billion, $0.5 million. So it's 787.5 million.
And of course, that'll be on appeal, I'm sure. But still, it makes me wonder, like, what's going to happen with them.
I don't even understand how that can happen, because even CNN, like, if you go in the Wayback Machine, they were talking about how Dominion voting systems got Hugo Chavez in power in Venezuela.
No, all the Democrats were against them, before Trump.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris was against them.
Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot of people that were against them, but that's not, at the end of the day, this is not about Dominion's bottom line. This is about mind control. This is about making sure that there's no dissent in regards to the use of these machines. At the time, I don't think the Democrats were making very many waves. Nobody paid attention, obviously, because we all still were using them. But now it's critical to their schemes that people have faith in those machines. So they're going to teach anybody a lesson that comes out against them. That seems to be the case.
I mean, we need to go back to paper ballots. We always need an audit now. And we should be cleaning up the voter rolls every year. Like, what's this nonsense that they don't need to clean up the voter rolls every year? That's insane, because people always move out and move in, you know what I mean, to different states. Yeah, and die. I remember there was a guy in Lodi, California, that was a city councilman, and he had a warrant against him, to go and check his house because of illegal gambling and money laundering, and they found like 50 ballots in his home. So they did an audit for his city council, and there was like a bunch of votes that were in the 1800s, like their date of birth was in the 1800s, and then there was a bunch of votes that were that they voted twice. There was a bunch that only had the last name, no first name, a bunch that the local prisons were the address, or a corporation or an NGO. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up.
No, it's insane. And one of the things is, here in Southern California, during the last election, I think it was the last one, they found in West Hollywood like 2 pallets full of mail-in ballots, weeks before the election. And we've all seen the videos of the people going in and collecting votes and stuff like that, or collecting the ballots from the apartment mailing rooms and stuff like that. And it makes me wonder, and I think people are apathetic about it, but when was the last time we had a fair election in California? I question whether or not, anybody that's elected here is actually really elected.
Well, another thing too is only 25% of Republicans voted. So, you know what? We all need to overwhelm them. And we can't wait till the last day, because they already know that we want to do that. So they'll make our voting systems not work, just like they did in Arizona, because they knew people were going to wait till the last day. And so they sabotaged the machines that day. So maybe we need to vote within the week, the last week, you know what I mean? And we need to do voter harvesting. We need to get all these churches in line, at least the ones that are not woke, because there's a bunch of woke ones that we need to wake up. That's something that I want to do too, is I want to wake up the woke churches and say, there's a church right here on Santa Monica that is like West LA. And it says it's a Lutheran church, but it has the LGBT flag and Black Lives Matter flag on it. So I've already kind of used my bullhorn there, but now I have this big banner that has, I forgot what the saying in the Bible it is, but it's something that, we're not supposed to be having unnatural, marriages or unnatural, relations. And it says you cannot change a Bible to fit your lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so this big banner, I need people to hold it and then bullhorn and basically say it out of love. We do not want you to go to hell. Okay. But this church is leading you straight to hell because they are lying to you about what's in the Bible. This is why everyone needs to read the Bible themselves. Okay. If you speak English, you can, get an English Bible. If you speak Spanish, get a Spanish Bible. You know what I mean? But everybody needs to read the Bible themselves so they know what the Word of God actually says.
And if you're not interested in the afterlife, let's just talk about this life and what your life will actually be like. And there's a lot of propaganda, just like there is for transitioning, that, oh, your life's going to be wonderful. It's going to save you from suicide. You'll be your true authentic self and all this type of thing. But these life choices, they bring in substance abuse, suicide, dysfunctional relationships, abuse, and all of these things accompany them. So it's not just about saving your soul. It's about saving your life right now. And what type of chaos do you want to invite into your life? And I don't know, I kind of liken it to like the idea of people like buying like a lemon, but they don't want anybody to know that they bought the lemon because it was expensive, so they like go, oh yeah, it's an awesome car, yeah, I love it. In the meantime, they got to take it to the shop like every other week because something's always breaking in it, and they don't want to admit, because of pride, that they bought a lemon. And it takes humility to come to that point. That
exactly.
Oh my gosh,
it's happening to a lot of people that have transitioned, and they're having health problems and all these problems. And I mean, look at that poor boy Jazz that they, I forgot which network had Jazz on there, but raised this boy as a girl and did all these botched, surgeries on.
I've seen a little bit of this. Yes.
Botched surgeries. And the kid was so traumatized. I think he got into Harvard but couldn't go because he was so mentally disturbed by, all of this surgery, probably very bad health problems, gained a lot of weight. I mean, it is so sad to watch. And the thing is, I mean, of course, people are going to be angry people. You made them hate themselves. Okay. You made them believe that they are a mistake.
That something was wrong with them.
Mind altering, hormone blockers, and you wonder why they shoot up a Christian school, because you're just saying that the Christians are the fault. Like, do you know what I mean? Talk about mind control. Okay. You shouldn't be mad at the Christians. The Christians wanted to save you from all of this heartache. Okay. The Christians wanted to tell you the truth. And, people that love you are going to tell you the truth. They're not going to be enablers of mental illness. And it's so sad. It's so sad. And we should find out, all the shooters in the last 20 years, how many are on pharmaceutical drugs. I would bet you probably all of them.
All of them. From what I understand, they've all been on some sort of serotonin inhibitors and all of these, antidepressants and stuff like this. This was a common thread that people started tracking since Columbine, that they were all on multiple, psychotropics to counteract the side effects of the original psychotropic that they were on. It's insane. And I think probably that's this whole business of of pharma becoming such a part of our lives, that it was just a matter of time before they, well, that seems logical to transition to somebody and be on drugs for the rest of your life, because they're already on drugs for the rest of their life, with the mental issues. And, I've interviewed four detransitioners, and a couple of them I've been able to video. A couple of them I refuse to, because they're mentally in bad shape. And the thing is that there used to be in the 90s and the 80s, if you wanted to transition, you had to go through all sorts of like psychological evaluation to make sure you weren't suffering from schizophrenia or something like this. But now all of these ones that have done it in the last, like, say 10 years, it's 30-minute consultation, and they give them a script like as soon as they leave the office. It's not even, there's no debate. And clearly all of these ones were suffering from either depression. Some of them, I'm sure has some sort of like schizophrenia. And none of this improved. And as a matter of fact, this one girl who's detransitioned, she's had to have her ovaries removed because the testosterone caused her to have ovarian cancer.
Oh, terrible. That is just terrible.
And, and it's just like, these are all of these side effects that they're not telling them about.
Well, they become big pharma cash cows.
Right.
That's right. Big pharma screws them up, and now they have to be on medication for the rest of their life just to be alive. And this is what I've seen too. I actually used to be an assistant to a lady that her mother was a psychiatrist at like a sane asylum, right? She told me that her mother gave her sleeping pills when she was 8 years old. Okay. I mean, talk about psychotic. Instead of wooing her child to sleep, she wanted the easy way out, just give her drugs. And this woman has been on drugs ever since. You know what I mean? Since 8 years old. And, I was wondering, wow, this lady's got like real issues. Like, it seems like she has Alzheimer's and schizophrenia and all this stuff. And she was friends with Sigmund Freud too. The guy that was on cocaine. Okay.
Allegedly molested all of his own children.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised because Clement Freud, I don't know if you heard about Clement Freud.
Is that his grandson or nephew or something like that?
Were house sitting for him when that girl from Portugal went missing. Do you remember that?
I don't. When was this?
I don't know the year, but basically Madeleine McCann, I think that was the girl that went missing.
Yes.
And she went missing like 1 mile from Clement Freud's house. So I think Sigmund Freud might be his grandfather. I'm not positive, but I know that they're related. Obviously, they've got the last name. And when he came out, Clement Freud, apparently when he came back, invited the parents to come and have a drink at his place. And he's known for grooming parents, being friends with the parents of the children he rapes. Okay. And when someone found that out and it was on the media, they called the police and they called, the news saying, this guy raped me. Several people came out saying he raped me. And of course, the police were in on it, and so were the news, so they didn't do anything. And there was some kind of small outlet that actually let these I think it was 2 women speak about Clement Freud raping them. One, it was like Clement Freud became friends with a single mom and convinced the mom that it was better for him to raise her child with his wife so she would have 2 parents. So she basically gave up her child, probably got a lot of money, and he was raping her. So.
And this is key because in regards to like what you mentioned, the grooming of the parents, because beyond just the grooming of children, that is part of the game. When we talk about like even Catholic priests, the priests were able to move around, to so many different victims because the parents themselves were groomed into thinking that their children were with somebody that was safe. We've heard that.
Look at all these holy people like the Dalai Lama telling a child to suck his tongue. I mean, the veil is really being lifted right now.
Now that's
really,
true.
You have to pick a side.
No, that's the thing about it is that it is like, I don't know. I mean, it was a movement of God, but in regards to like how it happened, I think maybe all we needed was a break from the day to day, and that's maybe a miracle of the COVID lockdowns is that we all had to stop and it got, we weren't worried about what we were going to do 5 minutes from now because it really didn't matter. And it started to happen at that time. I think some of it was like almost like the celebrities, we were seeing them doing, camera interviews like we're doing right here. And so their lighting and their makeup and their multiple cameras like weren't in place. And we were like, these are just regular people. These aren't. Why are we in such awe of these folks? They are sitting in their house scared just like we are. And, I don't know if that was it or if the people that were paying attention were realizing there's something fishy about what's going on here. And some of this doesn't make sense. And maybe it started people's minds from to seeing, I don't know exactly what the mechanisms were that were in place, but it seems that people are waking up. But the key is that how do we get them from being just awake and sitting on the couch, and to get up and start like making some moves? Because at the end of the day, that's the only way things are going to change. I don't think at this point they care if we know anymore. They know that some people are not buying their BS anymore. So, but there doesn't seem to be stopping them from going full steam ahead. It almost seems like they're doubling down on it.
Well, we have to look at the 3% that created America to begin with.
That's true.
These were brave men. And the first seal of the United States said, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. and it had a depiction of Moses parting or God parting the sea with Moses and the Egyptians drowning that were going after him. And there was like a fire in the sky, which was God. So it was a beautiful seal. And we need to have that same, thought process. We need to rebel against tyrants because bad things happen when good people do nothing. So, we're allowing this. God didn't just want us to pray. We have a connection to God so God can tell us what to do because we have physical bodies too. So it's not just a spiritual battle we also have to take physical,
take action.
We have to physical action to stop this insanity. And many of us have. We did massless shopping, we did our rallies, we did our protests, and that is why, I even wrote a rap song about it called Stand Up America, use your creativity. I mean, that's a cool thing too. You have some of these artists that have written rap songs about what's going on.
And they're topping the charts, and they're having to take them down. And that's how it's just the message is too powerful. When even though the song is extremely popular, that a site like Apple Music will take it down. They don't. I mean, we're seeing what side they're on by them doing that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And a lot of people, too, they have to know who the Illuminati families are. They need to know BlackRock and Vanguard are both, they've got so much stock in all these different companies. If you look
at real estate.
Yeah. I mean, massive. And then you look at China. I mean, we've had a 900% rise of Chinese nationalists invade our country since the Biden regime has been installed. And this is crazy. We don't know if these people are CCP thugs. They probably are. And then here in California, this is the craziest thing, is that a non-citizen can now be a police officer here in California.
I didn't know
that's
that.
insane.
When did that happen?
Just a few months ago.
Oh my goodness.
And I called and I was like, oh, well, they're getting their citizenship. I said, it doesn't matter if they're getting it. Okay. They're not a citizen yet.
Yeah,
okay?
that process is to vet them to see if they actually qualify to be a citizen of the United States or if they're here for nefarious purposes.
Yeah. So it is insane what we're seeing here. And it's very unconstitutional. And it takes a lot of us. If a lot of us start pushing back, if we have millions in the streets saying, no, we want citizens to be our officers because we don't want UN police officers, okay, or CCP officers telling us what to do. Okay. So, I mean, it's just getting more and more insane. And unless we push back, it's going to be Nazi Germany all over again.
Worse, I think it'll be worse because they only had a few people targeted, as far as groups were concerned. This will be everybody pretty much that stands, in against any of this insanity. And this is one thing I want to ask you. Me being from Texas, and I've been out here a long time, since the 90s, and then moved back and then came back. So this last time I've been here for about 11 years. And I get told all the time from the family, come back, get out of there. Or just from other people saying why are you still there? What are you staying there for? What is the point? And a lot of times, I tell people, I don't really know. I don't really know why. I feel compelled to be here for some reason. I don't know if
maybe
it's just
God wants you to be here, because the thing is, when California and New York go down, the rest of the country is going to go down.
And people
we
don't
have the
believe
most
that, but that's
electoral
the
college
case.
votes in these two big, states. So it's important that we push back. It's important that we get our voting rights back here and demand them. So, the Election Integrity Project, people should donate to that. And they should also get involved. If you can be a poll watcher, be a poll watcher. So once we start really taking control of our state, I mean, we could get it back. Twice as many people moved out of California than moved in. The one good thing about that is it lost one electoral college vote. So it lost one electoral college vote, but there was things that we did like, Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk was saying it's because of you guys in California.
Yeah, he did say that. He said the people that are on the streets in California are the ones that are really fighting the battle.
Yeah, and look at all the grassroots. Lexit, Latinos United for America, Make California Gold Again. All of these
Firefighters for Freedom.
Firefighters for Freedom. All of these, Hollywood for Freedom. All of these grassroots organizations came here. They were here. They started here. So we have to let the rest of the country know this, that I believe that Trump won in California and New York. I believe he won. But because of, he who controls the narrative controls the people, they'll control that small amount that actually still believe that, Biden got in office, even though I went and protested Biden when he was at the W Hotel, when he was with Karen Bass. There was like no one there. I'm like by myself. This is supposed to be the most popular president in history, by myself, like freaking bullhorning him and talking about how racist he really is. And you know what I mean? And all the things like, and criminal crime family, the clan, the criminal clan family.
No, they're a mafia is what they are. Yeah. I mean, yeah. they're thugs. They're total thugs. And that's the thing that when we talk about like engaging people on the left, even on a one-on-one basis, it is impossible to, I found, because they know what the truth is. They know that Biden didn't win the election, but they'll call you an election denier because of it. They know that January 6th wasn't an insurrection, but they will call you an insurrectionist, though nonetheless. They know that what's happening with these trans surgeries in kids is wrong, but they will never admit it to you publicly. I don't even know if they will admit it to themselves. And that's the thing about it is they don't care about lying, and they'll lie. Yeah. And so you can't debate someone like that. You cannot debate someone.
Actually you can, because this is the thing. Once you even just put seeds of truth, they can never unsee what they've heard from you. Okay. I remember someone years ago telling me how bad Obama is. And I was like, oh, come on. You're just saying that. And, and I never forgot though, what this person told me. And then when something happened, with Iran, him like doing that Iran nuclear deal, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's really bad, and I remembered him talking about, how bad Obama is. And then I started looking into it. I was like, no way can I vote for this guy again. So I didn't vote for anybody. I voted for him the first time, and I didn't vote for anybody the second time because I didn't trust Ted Cruz either. Like, he seems a bit slimy to me, you know? And the fact that he was like, well, at least the people with a jab should be able to take off their mask on a plane. Like, what a loser for saying that. I mean, seriously. It's like, even this one law, they're like saying, you have to let us know if our child identifies a different sex. No, how about they don't do it at all, telling their children? Like, to me, that seems like a lame bill. How about like, no, these people have no right to tell our children that there's 50 different genders. How about that?
At the end of the day, it's adding legitimacy to this whole business. And
I think that's insane.
No, it is. It's adding legitimacy to it. It makes it something that's permanent in the human conscious, that's actually like something that's going on there. And at the end of the day, I just can't fathom a child going to a teacher or a counselor and saying, I think I'm the wrong sex at 9, 10, 11. I can't even, especially.
No, they're being groomed. They're being groomed.
Especially at a junior high age when, I mean, I've talked about this before, junior high is a weird time, puberty and everything, and everybody's developing, and some of us are late, some of us are early. And, there's all this weirdness that's going on, and you're supposed to start thinking about dating, and it's very high pressured, serious, awkward time. And you're going to tell me that somebody that is terrified, of just like being who they are is actually going to take it upon themselves to go to a teacher and say, I think I was born.
Yeah. And by the way, children think that they're superheroes. They think they're animals. So are we going to go and take a child's word for it. I mean, seriously, this is where, they think that children can raise themselves. No, parents raise them to tell them what's right and wrong and what's reality and what is not. Okay, so
Before you go, what I want you to do is tell me again about the event next Saturday.
Okay, it's April 29th, 3 to 6 p.m., Beverly Hills Garden Park, where the Beverly Hills sign is. I believe it's between Cannon and Beverly. I think those are the two, drives. Cannon and Beverly Drive on Santa Monica.
Going to be where the Beverly Hills sign is? Is that where that is?
Yes, the Beverly Hills sign.
Okay.
Yeah, and the pond. There's like a pond behind it.
Excellent. Next Saturday and starting
yes,
at
and there's all these rules too, by the way. So you guys can check out these rules that they put on there for Shiva for Freedom, Shiva for Justice on Instagram or Facebook. There's a flyer on Facebook. Just put Shiva Bagheri, B as in boy, Agheri. If anybody wants to sign up, it's BeverlyHillsFreedomRally.org to be on our mailing list.
Okay, and you have a dynamic Facebook group there as well, right?
Beverly Hills Freedom Rally on Facebook and BH Freedom Rally on Telegram. And I'm also Shiva for Freedom on Getter. And I think Shiva for Freedom also on Truth Social. I think that's the same one.
But Instagram is kind of your main. That's where people should go.
Yeah, I do Instagram lives a lot because they're easy. I like it because you can put pictures up and stuff in the background. You can't do that on Facebook, so it's kind of annoying.
Okay, well, all right, Shiva, thank you so much for your time again, and we'll check out your Instagram, and thank you for everything you do, and especially for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Yes, am I going to see you, by the way? Are you coming?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there for sure.
What they won't tell you,